Hello everyone, I am Wazzup, and today I am going to tackle a controversial subject. Um, and before I talk about which one is actually better, I'm going to tell you that I am going to make this as unbiased as I can. I have experience with both sides of the spectrum, and this is just based off my experience and just true facts about each one. So, right now I have drop on my main tune, and on my second tune, I have Trap. And before I get anything else saying you've never had them at the same time, in Toontown Online, my second tune that I ever made, with the same name as Cool, had both Trap and Drop and was tune-upless. Okay, so I've maxed these gags more than twice before. I just want to get that out of the way right now. So, for the first one, or for the first sort of thing about it, is with Drop, you can carry just as much as all the other gags. Tune up for level 1s, when it's completely finished, you can have 30 with that, and then 25, 20, 15, 7, 3, and then obviously every single one of these has 1. But with Trap, however, for all these, it's less. I think for the Quicksand, it's like 10 or something. You can only carry 5 trapdoors and 2 TNT and 1 level 7, like all the other ones. So that's a pretty weird one, in my opinion, because, well, no, I'll get to that later. And I just said my opinion, as you heard, but, it's a fact that you can, or it has less capability of carrying, or, you don't have the option to have as much as all the other ones. So it's not as useful for a gag track right there. So with Drop, it's just like the other ones. So for this next part, I'm going to talk about accuracy. Now, on the Trap gag, it says it has perfect accuracy, and this is not true. This is never true. Um, Once you use a trap on a cog, regardless of the level, no matter which kind of trap it is, it has a 0 accuracy. And this is because it hasn't worked yet. It hasn't, fulfilled its perfect quote unquote accuracy. Its accuracy is solely dependent on the lure, which is also low. However, trap's accuracy will get raised with lure. And this is I don't know how to prove this, but there's a direct correlation. It naturally happens more, so that's the best way to train trap, is to use high level lure. But it's not perfect. If anything, it'd be like medium to high. Now with drop, it says low. This is if you use drop alone. If you use any of these 3 gag types, the sound, throw, and squirt, it will not be low. It'll be like a medium low. Or yeah, it has a much higher chance of hitting with one of these 3. That's called the stun. So that is another way of playing. So for my next one, damage. I believe the banana peel does 12 damage. This does like 20, 35. The marbles, I can just pull it up real quick. The marbles does 35. This does 50, 70, 180, and 195. So that is crazy damage. Like no other gag track can do that much damage. However, there is a drawback to this amount of damage, and that is that you have to use another gag. You have to use a lure to activate the trap. You have to. You honestly do. Unless you don't want to waste your gag, you have to use something else to do that. So if that's the case, for every trap gag, let's say it's the TNT, you're using 2 gags, that'll leave you with 90, a base of 90. That's not terrible. There's more than Cloud for like a base kind of damage. Now with drop, it doesn't do as much. However, you can use drop alone. With the TNT, if you were to use a TNT on a cog, what it would do is it wouldn't do anything. You'd have to use another. You'd have to have somebody else lure the cog in, or do it yourself, or use an SOS card. There's no way. Even if you use like a Toon's hit, it's not gonna work because it has a 0 chance of working. It just won't work unless you have lure. So trap requires lure. Drop doesn't require any of these three. You can use drop and have it work. It won't work often because it has low accuracy. For me, it's even well. No, that's not true. It's just as bad as lure, to be honest. My lure's accuracy is garbage. So yeah, if you ever like see me in a solo and I'm using a Toontannic, I'm expecting it to miss most of the time. It's low for a reason. So with trap, there are combinations that better work for things. Like let's say you're in the VP and there's a level 12 and a level 1, or just a level 12 alone. If you use a TNT, that'll do 180 out of the 200. That'll do 90%, right? So it won't finish it off. So you're going to have to use 3 gags because it requires a lure. You're going to have to use like one of these. You're going to have to use another gag for it to kill the 12. With drop, however, you only need a hose or the drop itself. So that is really useful. However, if you're like luring a cog and the trap isn't enough, the trap can help the lure because it boosts its accuracy. So trap can be integrated with that. Drop cannot. Drop is just an extra gag. It's like, you know, a post-attacking thing because it has the least priority, or it has negative priority in this. So in terms of that kind of combination, that's another one. With the Toontannic, it does 180 to all of them, so all you need is a trunk for that to work. If you have the trunk, that 2-gag combination. For a regular railroad, that's not the case, unfortunately. You're going to have to use lure, the railroad, and a whistle or higher. So it requires just a little extra. If you're with 2 tunes, I'm sorry, it's going to suck. However, if it is organic, it does 214, which will take out a row of level 12s. That is awesome. Very useful. Especially if you're doing like a CEO or something. Or, heck, that can happen in any of the bosses. It's just more likely there. So those are some of the combinations. Now, the grand piano, when it's organic, is kind of useful. Instead of having to use a hose, you can use an Auga because it does 187. So that'll be enough for a 12. But with the organic TNT, it is 2 points shy of 200. This is kind of sad because it's so close to being able to take out a 12 with 2 gags, but it just can't. This can't. Now I want to talk about the SOS cards. And I know a lot of people have brought this up, so I'm going to just sort of glance over this. I'm not going to go too in depth. So, for drop, there are 3 attacking drop ones in the game right now in Toontown Rewritten. That is Clumsy Ned, Fran's Neckvine or Vane, and Barnacle Bessie. Clumsy Ned does 60 damage to all of the cogs, and it cannot miss on level 8s or lower if they're not lured. If you have drop, however, if the cog is not lured, that SOS card will have 100% accuracy regardless of anything else. It will do 170 to all, or my bad. It'll do the drop damage to all of them. So just by having a level 1 drop gag, just by finishing the old man task or whichever one you got it on, just for having that, these will have 100% accuracy if they're not lured. Or if somebody drops, I believe it. No, actually, I don't know. I don't know about that. So I'm not going to go over that. With trap, now I'm going to say that this is kind of my opinion. Having a Clerk Will and a Clerk Penny is a waste of time. you have to use 2 gags for it to work. And even if you do, and you're using, you know, you have 2 tunes with you or whatever, you're gonna have to use 2 tunes to make that SOS work, which is really annoying. Those 2 are wasting your time. Don't bother with them. Now, I personally like Clerk Clara because she's a very useful SOS card, doing 180 damage. You know, with 3 tunes, you can take out a row of 12s. Pretty useful. But yeah, there is an upside just for having drop. Doing 170 to a row of whatever is awesome. Especially for solos. If you have to do that alone, you can just use a Bessie, and that will normally clear the field. Unless they're 12s. But, you know, what else can you do? So, I'm going to talk about Trap's purpose. Trap's, what I normally use Trap for is for luring, or not luring, for aiding lures accuracy, for just killing a level 11 with TNT to straight up. I normally only bring 2 TNT anyways, so that's all I have a use for, is for aiding lures accuracy and for just one-shotting level 11s. So yeah, it goes first. It's sort of just like a, I don't know how to describe it. I really don't know, but yeah. Now what I use drop for is sort of the same thing. I use it for taking out cogs when I don't want to use my other gags, the 3 main that I use. You know, I'm just not gonna, I don't even know where I'm going with this. So I use drop for that, or if, okay, I'm gonna use an example. In the back 9, or in any of the boss bot flashpoints, there's a row of 10s, and one of them is version 2.0. Once you use sound to take out all the level 10s, the 2.0 gets its first layer defeated, and you're fighting its second layer. Now with this, you usually use 3 creams and 1 drop, instead of having to use a lure if you're dropless. The 3 creams take out the 10, and you may or may not have to use this. If the throw misses, the drop still has a chance to kill the cog instantly. Things like that really help with drop on this. So for this next part, I don't want to go too in depth because this part is kind of confusing to some. But now this only works if in anywhere with the version 2.0 cog. But trap cannot apply any carryover damage to the next layer. Let's say there is a level 12 with 50 hit points left, and you go for a TNT expecting to get damage to the next layer. You're wasting your time and your gag. If you lure in that cog and use a TNT on the level 12 that has 50 hit points left, it will only do 50 hit points, and the 130 will just be ignored. Now, I'm going to talk a little bit more about this very soon. Trap cannot apply any extra carryover damage. Drop can. It's one of the 4 that can. These 4 can apply carryover. Now, carryover is when you use enough damage to the cog, it will get carryover on its next layer, or it'll do damage to its next layer. And this is because you cannot use 2 traps on the same cog. If you use a banana peel and a railroad, it will fail. If you use 2 TNTs in the same cog, it will fail. With drop, however, you can combine all the drops you want. But, you know, I wouldn't expect it to hit. Or I don't know, because I don't know if Toontown Rewritten messed with any of the accuracy, but on Toontown Online, it lowered the accuracy a lot. And the reason why drop can apply carryover is that very reason. You can use 2 pianos on the same cog. Now, let's say there's level 12 with 20 hit points left, or just, you know, anything less than what the gag is going to do. It'll kill the cog, but it won't do anything to its next layer. An example where drop can work is if there's level 12 version 2.0 and it has full health. Use one hose on it and two pianos. This will take out both layers. And the reason why it does so is I'll just show an example with like a quick calculator. So let's say the first layer has 200 hit points and you do the hose damage. That is 30. So it has 170 hit points left, right? 170 minus the piano damage, 170, leaves it with 0. This finishes off the cog. So the next piano that goes on, since we're just talking about the next layer, is minus 170. This will leave it with 30. But you used 2 pianos. So the cog would normally be left with 30, right? Well, if we do 170 plus 170, which is 340, we get 340 times 0.2 to get the 20% damage. This will do 68 yellow damage, which will kill the last 30 hit points of level 12. This will kill both layers. Drop can be used on both layers. So that's why drop can do that. So in the CEO, drop is very useful for doing that. This is also why the 3 cakes and lure works for some of those people that don't know what I'm talking about. So, yeah, trap can only do red damage, drop can do red damage, and potentially yellow damage. So now, when it comes to training, my personal experience with training my second toon, it wasn't really a problem for me. It just took a long time. And for training on my main toon, I made a video on it like a year ago. It's really not that bad. I was only like 60 life and I got like 100 per building. Did that like 14 times or however many I needed just with a week toon, and I got my next gag like it was nothing. So training, I am currently my third toon. He has trap and drop, and I just got drop. I do not feel like training it, and same with trap. I don't really feel like training my gags anymore, but I have to if I want to advance in the game. So with trap, if you're training trap, you need lure. So it's a necessity that you have another gag. If you're doing it alone, good luck, because training trap alone is awful. You probably won't be able to do any 5-story building with ease if you're training trap alone. If you're doing it with another toon, it's slightly better, plus you can help them train lure. Except the fact that you're carrying less is really painful. It's tough to deal with carrying less. You have to get lower and lower down in the wherever you are. Like let's say you have a level 4 trap. You can only carry 3 of those, I think, when you first get it. You have to bring a lot of other ones down the line. So you're going to be using more traps, and you won't be getting as much value as any of the other ones, because you have less of the highest one, which will really pain you, or some people, I guess. Drop. The first 3 levels are honestly terrible. They're so it's so painful to train the first 3 levels. Just go to Toon Valley, or not Toon Valley. Just go to Welcome Valley. Like if there's an invasion like this one, you click on Welcome Valley, it still shows that even though it doesn't have an invasion there, and you'll still get the 2 times XP boost for fighting regular cogs. Do that in Welcome Valley and you'll be fine. But training drop isn't that bad once you get to these higher levels. You just use a stun with the gag, and it'll hit 80% of the time. It's really no problem. So, yeah, and something with drop that's different from all the other ones. With all these gags, well, these 3 in particular, and tune-up, I guess. Tune-up, trap, sound, throw, and squirt, just not lure. Their damage is not complete until the gag is maxed, or until you get the next, gag. With drop, however, it always does the max damage for all of these except for the piano. It'll do the max damage once you get it. So if it's your first time using the flower pot, it'll still do 10 damage. Unless it's organic. Same with this. It'll always do 18, 30, 45. Always do 60. This one, I think it starts at like 80 damage or 90 or something like that. And it goes up. It goes up really quickly though. So that's one of my other points. So you can see where this is going. I have talked a lot of positive things about drop because the thing about drop is that it's more useful to me, which is why I've been saying these things that are true. So yeah, trap requires this, or requires lure. You can carry less of them. It doesn't quite do enough damage for certain things. It doesn't apply any SOS boosts. Has no carryover capabilities. All these things are why I'm going to give the crown to drop. And this is why I believe drop is better than trap. Just based on all these reasons. All these reasons. Yeah, it's kind of crazy why this is even a debate. To me, anyways. From all my experiences, I believe drop is better than trap. But I do think trap is better than tune-up, especially if you're with a good group. Because people normally like to spam tune-up, and once they spam it, I don't even need it. I barely even bring any of it anymore. I only bring these for emergencies and whenever tunes, actually need it. And that's the same for my other tune. I only bring these 2 gags because that's all I need for emergencies. I bring 2 TNT, and I have so much excess lower level 4 gags that I never use. I never have to use those lower gags. I get less value for my worth. With this tune, I carry 6 of that, and I carry 7 of all these. 7, 3, and 3 down the road. So, anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed. Please leave your comment if you still. I mean, obviously there are going to be some people that don't agree with all these points, but all of these are factual. All those points I've listed before are factual. My opinion is that drop is better than trap. That doesn't mean it's fact. That's not a fact. All these could be, for all, for your opinion could be tune-up is the best and all these suck. That's fine. If you have an opinion, please leave it in the comment section below. I normally reply, and I hope you guys enjoy. I'm out.